All right, geometry, this is video 2 for week 2. In this video, we covered trapezoids. Now, trapezoids are different from parallelograms in that they only have one pair of parallel sides. Now, even though that's their main difference, there's a lot of things that are true about a trapezoid that are not true about a parallelogram. So we're going to have to look at quite a few examples. However, some of them are much easier than the previous section, and a couple of them are a little bit harder. Here we go. So anytime a trapezoid has two congruent angles or two congruent sides, it's called isosceles. Now the good news is, if it has two congruent angles, it will always have two congruent sides. So this question requires us to do no work. These angles are equal, so these two sides are equal. They want the length of side RU, we're going to simply type in 76. If you look to the side, we currently have a score of 0. Let's type in 76 to confirm that our score increases. And you can see our score has improved. Now this question is kind of just working backwards. You can clearly see that we are given an angle this time, and there are two sides marked congruent. Now, they would like us to find angle D, but we would be able to find any of the missing angles. This angle is obtuse, so the other obtuse angle will be equal. But if they would have asked for either of the acute angles, it's very simple. You take 180 minus the angle they give you. So that means that the other two angles, which are acute, have to be 50 each. So they could have asked me to find any of the missing angles, and I would have been able to do that. If they give you the acute angle, you know the other one is equal, and then you could subtract the acute angle to find the obtuse angles. Regardless of which one is given to you, you can always find the others. By the way, since it wanted us to solve for D, D is 130 degrees. We'll just verify that that's correct and make sure our score does go up. We're currently at a score of 10. Let's see if we go up. And there you go, you can see we have improved. Now this next diagram is showing a segment in the trapezoid that's called a mid-segment. The good news is the mid-segment is halfway between the two bases. So if I know how far apart the bases are, then I can find the length of the mid-segment. But the same is also true if they give me the mid-segment and ask me to find either of the bases. So for this problem, I'm told that QT is 52. I'm also told that UV is 65. So that means the distance from this one to this one is 7 units. Subtract 7, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Subtract 13. If I subtract 13 units, I get to 52. That means in order to go down to this one, I have to subtract an additional 13 units. So 52 minus 13 will get me down to 39. So now I can see the biggest one, minus 13, and then 52 minus 13. And that gives me RS. We'll go ahead and confirm that 39 is the answer, and then we will move on. Currently, we have a score of 19. Let's make sure that improves. All right, now this example is a perfect example of one where they give us both bases. Ty is 40, VW is 78, and they want UX. Because UX is smack dab in the middle, I have to find the number that's in the middle. The fastest way to do that is by getting the average. Take 40 plus 78, which is going to give me 118, and then divide by 2. You can do some mental math to check. That means I add 19, and if I add 19 more, yep, that looks like it works. So the mid segment of this trapezoid should in fact be 59. Again, I'll type that in so we can verify that our score goes up. And as you can see, our score has improved. Now, you will be able to get to almost a score of 70 just doing questions like that. But there are a couple of more challenging questions, and I want to look at a couple of those. So trapezoids, just like parallelograms, also have diagonals. They are congruent. So that means, much like the previous section, if they give you information about diagonals, you're going to set them equal to each other. I'm told that HJ, one of the diagonals, is 9A minus 47, and I'm told that IK, the other diagonal, is 8A minus 38. From here, it's just algebra. And then some addition. And it looks like we're going to get an answer of A equals 9. So, because that's all they asked me to solve for, I need to plug in the number 9. We'll verify that our score increases. All right, we're going to look at one more very challenging type of problem. You can already see, though, with the information I've given you, you're capable of getting up into the mid to upper 60s. And that being said, that is enough if your other two skills also get you up to the mid to upper 60s. Remember, as much as getting to 100 is great, my goal for you is just to get 200 points per 3 skills. The hardest type of question you might come across will look like this. They'll give you all the pieces for the mid-segment and the bases as expressions. The one to the left is s minus 16. The one in the middle, negative s plus 71. And the one to the right, s plus 6. If you want to try one of these problems, here's how you do it. Take the shortest segment, take the longest segment, and add those together. Then take the segment that's in the middle, and you're going to double it. Because if you were to add the smallest one to the biggest one, it's going to be equal to the one in the middle if you added it to itself. So we're going to double the one in the middle. That means times 2. Negative s times 2 is negative 2s. 71 times 2 is 142. Lot of like terms in algebra. S and S is 2S. Negative 16 and positive 6 is negative 10. And now it looks like a more basic algebra problem. And finally, we can divide by 4. So I'm getting a final answer of 38. I'll plug that in to verify, but this should be as difficult of a question as you come across in section 2. And you can see our score has increased. So guys, that's the end of the second video. Good news is the third video is going to go a lot faster. So we're going to cover kites in that video. I'll see you in just a minute.